Hello, I'm Blackbright and I'm broadcasting out of the UK, and sometimes I go on a little relationship rant, and I decided to do that now because I was speaking to somebody the other day and they'd been abandoned. I think it's about 10 years ago, and they still haven't got over it. And I was just trying to think about what abandonment does. It's a bit different. Like if you've got a parent and they die, sometimes you feel abandoned by the parent, but at least you know that that parent has gone to, if you're a Christian, you believe they've gone to heaven, or you know that they've transferred over. But when you come home, you've had a perfectly, what you thought was a perfect relationship or a really good relationship. You don't see any reason why a person should just disappear on you like that. And you come home one day and you go into your bedroom and it looks different. Certain items are gone. You look into the wardrobe, clothes are missing. And then as you're going around, you're noticing more and more things are missing. And you're like, he or she's gone. And then you're going in the kitchen and the smallest thing has gone. Every form of remembrance, every memory, he or she has taken it away. And you're left there thinking, but when I spoke to him this morning, or when I spoke to her this morning, it was fine. She didn't seem angry. He didn't say I'd upset him. In some cases, they've even made love. I know with that girl that was talking to me, she'd actually had sex with her partner. And when she came home in that evening, he'd been gone. And that made her feel worse. Because it's like, was he taking the piss? And when you think about abandonment, even abandonment as children, when you're abandoned as children, you always grow up feeling as though you're going to be left. And what people who feel as though they're going to be left do, they tend to leave first. They imagine that the person is going to leave them, and it becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy. And what usually happens is that they don't end up waiting for that person to leave. They've got it so much in their head that that person is going to leave them that they decide to leave first, or they do something so that they leave, or that the relationship is over. So the thing is with abandonment is that you never quite acknowledge your feelings. A lot of people don't. They make out like it doesn't really matter. They start finding fault with the person, and then they're like, oh, well, I'm glad it was over. I remember when he used to do that. I remember when she used to do that. I'm better off without him, or I'm better off without her. But that abandonment, the fact that somebody has left without your knowledge, and you've always got one eye open on the door, you always have that funny feeling, I wonder if they're coming back. It's a bit like missing children. When when children go missing and you're always thinking that they're going to come back. That's what abandonment is like. It's like unfinished business. It's like, you can't close the chapter. And you end up getting angry and resentment. And then you start hating yourself because you start thinking, there must have been something wrong with me. I must have done something. And then that kind of self-hatred perpetuates because you end up feeling so angry, you take it out on everybody else. Then you start blaming everybody else for your unhappiness. You blame everyone else for your anger. You blame everyone for the way you feel. A lot of people take drugs. A lot of people become alcoholics. A lot of people, they just isolate themselves. A lot of people, they just don't have any other relationship after that. That girl that her partner abandoned her, 10 years later, she still hasn't had a relationship because she's scared. She's scared that if she has another relationship, she doesn't want to come home and find that he's gone. It's really an uncomfortable situation, and a lot of people, they don't want to face it. They don't want to face those uncomfortable feelings. But what they're doing by not facing those uncomfortable feelings, they're actually abandoning the feelings, and they're abandoning themselves. The only thing that they've got left that's going to say, look, I'm going to look after you. I'm going to make sure you're okay. That's what we need to be telling ourselves. We need to be telling ourselves, if you've been abandoned, you need to be telling yourself, I'm going to look after you. No one is ever going to leave you again. I'm not going to leave you. And the only way you can do that, the only way you cannot leave yourself, it sounds a bit silly, but the only way you cannot leave yourself is by not abandoning your feelings. It's about owning up to the way you feel, as hard as it is. Owning up to the way you feel and say, yes, you feel like shit. You feel like crap, but I'm still there with you. Let's get through this together. My feelings and I, my emotions and I, we'll get through this together. If you deny the emotions, they'll keep coming back. You know what they say? What you resist persists. So when you try to deny that you don't feel anything and that you don't care, I've got my radio show this evening. I haven't even put the advert out yet. But 7 till 9 on Lovers Rock Radio. But yeah, that was just a reminder. Yeah, so you need to kind of acknowledge that you're not feeling great. Acknowledge your anger. Don't point fingers. Don't blame it on anyone. It's okay. It's okay. So you might have done something, we don't know. You might have done something that precipitated that abandonment. But, you may not have done. But you can't live wondering what you did. You can't live beating yourself up. You can't live expecting the next person who's in your life to abandon you, because you know what will happen? It'll become a self-fulfilling prophecy. As you conceive it, you shall achieve. So anything you tell yourself, if you say, oh, it's no point getting invested in this, it's no point me putting my heart and soul in this because she's going to leave me anyway. I know that I'm not going to bother making effort because that he's going to go or she's going to go. And so you end up in relationships where you put half your heart into it, and that person picks it up and thinks, I don't know what's wrong with that person. They don't know quite what it is, because a lot of people who've been abandoned, they feel embarrassed and ashamed. So they don't tell the partner that they're with. The only thing that partner can pick up is that they're not getting the whole person. They know that they're only getting a part of the person. They know they're only getting the remnants. And they're not quite sure why that is. And then they start imagining things and thinking, oh, well, has he or she got someone else? So, it's very difficult. And the only way you can heal yourself is to acknowledge those feelings, those hurt feelings of feeling betrayed and let down. So, yeah, subconsciously you could be punishing yourself for allowing yourself to be abandoned. And you can punish yourself for not seeing it coming, because some people kind of punish themselves. Like when you've had an argument with somebody and then you get a phone call and you heard they've died, and you forever keep going over that in your mind. I shouldn't have said that. What did I do? What was the last thing I said? Oh, I wish I'd made love to my husband before he went. I wish I'd been more caring to my spouse before she went to work. When they come back and you hear that they've gone, and that is through death or abandonment in any way, and you constantly feel guilty about that. And it's like when people leave you, you constantly telling yourself, why didn't I see it coming? Why didn't I see it coming? What is it that is about my behavior that made that happen that I didn't see? Why didn't I see the fact that they were taking bits out of the house? Why didn't I notice that? Why didn't I notice that her behaviour was a bit different this morning, or why didn't I notice that he didn't have on his work clothes? And you start questioning yourself and you start chastising yourself. That doesn't help the situation. You cannot live in the past. If you live in the past, you're never going to make it into the future. You're going to carry that past into your present, and it's going to affect every single relationship that you're in. Maybe you might resign yourself to not having a relationship, like that lady that was talking to me the other day. Maybe you'll just resign yourself not to having one because you just cannot go through that pain. But unless you go through that pain and come out on the other side, you're going to have to revisit that pain every single day. You have to acknowledge that woman that was speaking to me, she goes, oh, I still speak to him. We get on like a house on fire. You know, he even flirts with me. And you have to kind of say, is she actually owning up to the pain? Or is that her way of dealing with the pain? Same way like with a male may, I don't know if a male would entertain a woman who's abandoned him. I don't know. But I think females are a bit different. I think when a female keeps company with somebody who's abandoned her, it's her way of making her feel to herself, well, I wasn't that bad a person because he or she still wants to speak to me. They don't kind of think that that person hurt me and, you know, I'm still hurting. They don't think that way. They just want to be validated, and they validate themselves by still talking to the person who's given them so much pain. And they hope that will kind of diffuse the situation, but it doesn't, because you still feel that pain. And you will feel that pain for quite a while. Like I said, nobody knows how long it takes when you're grieving over someone. The same way no one will know how long it takes for you to heal after you've been abandoned. But the important thing is that take care of your feelings, acknowledge your feelings. If you want to cry, cry. If you want to scream, scream. But know that those feelings are there to protect you. Know that those feelings are there to tell you. Know that those feelings are there to tell you a story. Know that those feelings are there to help you authenticate yourself. When you deny your feelings, you're denying yourself. You're denying who you are. So it really is important in order to get through this. Some people need to see counsellors. Some people need to see psychotherapists. Some people, I mean, it's so traumatic for them that they really go over the edge. So you need to look after yourself and look after your feelings and acknowledge them. So many do not accept responsibility. They pretend it doesn't hurt. It's easier to blame someone else. People who have been abandoned expect subconsciously to be abandoned again. So they test people. They test people they meet unreasonable. They make unreasonable demands. And when the person finally leaves, they say, I knew she or he was going to leave me. It becomes a self-fulfilling prophecy, because some people who have been hurt or who have been abandoned and they've got it in their head that somebody's going to abandon them or leave them, they behave so abominably that they're actually pushing that person away. They actually push that person out of their life, and they say, oh, I knew that. I knew she or he was going to go. I saw it coming. If you saw it coming, it's going to come. So like I said, abandonment is like grief. And if you've been abandoned as a child, you'll do the same thing to yourself as an adult. And especially, you know, like if you go to your parents as a child and you say, Mum, you know, I miss you. And she goes, oh, just go and sit down or go to your room. And she doesn't acknowledge the way you feel. You carry that through adulthood, that, you know, the people who are supposed to love and protect you are not acknowledging your feelings. So you start keeping your feelings inside. And you decide that you're not going to share them. So, you know, the way you solve it is through isolation, it's through addictions, it's through shutting people out and shutting people up. It's about learning to take responsibility for your emotions and your feelings and for everything that's happened to you, and just accepting it. No one's perfect. No one's perfect. And you have to accept that you're not perfect. There is no reflection on you as an individual. If anything is a reflection on the person that abandoned you and didn't have the guts or the balls to say, look, this is not working. I need to move on. So you don't have to take on that responsibility yourself. You don't have to say it had anything to do with me. It might have had something to do with you. It could have just as well had something to do with the other person. So all you need to do is look after you, look after your feelings and your emotions, nurture yourself, give yourself a cuddle, give yourself some encouragement, tell yourself that I'm going to be okay, I'm going to look after you, I'm going to do the best for you. Only I can do for you what you can't do for yourself. And that's all for now. Bye-bye.